Hello everyone. Let's start with a moment of real honesty. I want you to think back to the last time you genuinely surprised yourself, and not in a good way. You had a plan. You had a goal that was important to you. Maybe it was finally asking for that promotion, starting a health journey, or setting a boundary in a relationship. You felt that initial spark of motivation, that clear vision of a better future. And then, something shifted. Almost imperceptibly at first. A doubt crept in. An unexpected urge to delay. A sudden need to clean the entire house instead of working on that important task. It's a deeply frustrating experience, isn't it? It feels like you're in the driver's seat, but someone else keeps subtly tugging on the steering wheel, veering you off course. It can make you feel powerless, even hopeless, as if you're fundamentally broken. What if I told you that you're not broken? What if this isn't a sign of weakness, but a message? And what if that message, once understood, holds the key not just to ending self-sabotage, but to unlocking a more authentic, powerful, and creative version of yourself? This isn't just positive thinking. This is based on the profound work of one of the most influential minds in psychology, Carl Jung. His map of the human psyche gives us a language for this inner conflict and, more importantly, a practical path toward integration and wholeness. If you're tired of fighting this invisible war with yourself, you are not alone. This is exactly what we explore here. If you are ready for this journey, consider subscribing and hitting the bell so you don't miss our deep dives into understanding the mind. Meet your shadow, the hidden cause of self-sabotage. To understand why we sabotage ourselves, we first have to understand a concept Jung called the shadow. This is the cornerstone of his work on this topic. But what exactly is it? Let's move beyond the textbook definition. Think of your conscious personality, the you that you present at work, to your friends on social media, as a beautiful, well-manicured garden. It's the part of you that's organized, kind, productive. But for every garden, there is also the compost pile. The compost is where you throw the scraps, the wilted flowers, the things that have decayed. It's messy, it's dark, and it smells. It's not something you show to guests. In psychological terms, from the moment we are children, we learn what is acceptable to show in our garden. We are praised for being cheerful, generous, and successful. We are often subtly or overtly shamed for being angry, greedy, jealous, needy, or arrogant. So, we learn to hide these unacceptable parts. We take our raw jealousy, our secret pride, our unexpressed rage, our deep vulnerabilities, and we toss them onto the compost pile of our psyche. We then build a high fence round it and try to forget it's there. We think, out of sight, out of mind. That compost pile, that collection of disowned parts, is your shadow. But here's the critical, life-changing question I want you to sit with for a moment. What's on your compost pile? What are the traits or emotions you would be mortified if someone discovered in you? Just let that question sit there. Because here is Jung's revolutionary discovery. What you suppress doesn't decompose. It doesn't vanish. In fact, in the dark, moist environment of your unconscious, it transforms. It doesn't become inert. It becomes incredibly potent. It begins to generate a life of its own. And that fence you built, it starts to rot from the inside. The contents of the shadow begin to seep back into the garden, not as themselves, but as weeds that choke your beautiful plants. These weeds are your acts of self-sabotage. That critical inner voice that whispers, "You're a fraud, and everyone will find out," when you're on the verge of success. That's a weed from the shadow. The sudden, irresistible urge to scroll mindlessly through your phone when you should be working on your passion project. That's the shadow's energy leaking out. It's a destructive pattern rooted in a hidden, unconscious belief. A belief like I am not worthy of joy or my needs don't matter. Let me give you a practical challenge for the next 24 hours. I want you to become a quiet observer of your own inner garden. Don't try to pull the weeds yet. Just notice them. When you feel that familiar pull to sabotage, I want you to pause and ask with genuine curiosity. What is the emotion behind this urge? What is this behavior trying to protect me from? Is it protecting me from the fear of failure? Or, paradoxically, from the fear of success? This simple act of non-judgmental observation is the first and most powerful step toward reclaiming your soul. Does this idea of the shadow resonate with you? Can you feel its presence in your life? I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share one small way you've noticed your own shadow at play. Your story might help someone else feel less alone. How to integrate your shadow and end the inner war. So, if self-sabotage is the shadow's way of demanding attention, what's the solution? Our first instinct is often to fight it. To try to be more disciplined, more positive, to power through. But Jung's answer was radical, counterintuitive, and ultimately, the only thing that works. You don't fight the shadow. You befriend it. You integrate it. This is the courageous process of shadow work. Let me be perfectly clear, because this is often misunderstood. Integration is not about giving yourself permission to act out every dark impulse. It's not about saying, well, I guess I'm just a jealous person now, and then going around sulking. That's not integration. That's possession by the shadow. True integration is about moving from denial to acknowledgement. It's about turning towards the compost pile, not with disgust, but with the curiosity of a gardener who knows that within that dark, messy heap lies the very nutrients that will make the garden flourish. Let's expand on our metaphor. Imagine your entire psyche is a kingdom. You, the conscious ego, are the ruler. The shadow is the group of exiled citizens, the rebels, the artists, the wild ones, you banished to the swamps and forests long ago because they didn't fit your ideal of a perfect kingdom. They are not your enemies. They are parts of your population that you have disowned. Their attacks on the kingdom, your acts of self-sabotage, are their desperate attempts to be heard, to be recognized, to contribute. Integration is the act of a wise and compassionate ruler. It's sending an emissary to the swamps, inviting the leaders of the exiles back to the castle, listening to their grievances, and finding a valued role for them within the kingdom. Perhaps that rebel anger can be trained to become the royal guard that protects your boundaries. Perhaps that exiled artist's sensitivity can be appointed the court visionary, guiding your creative life. This is profoundly difficult work because it's always easier to project our shadows onto others. It's easier to say, my boss is so controlling, than to ask, where am I refusing to take control of my own life? It's easier to be annoyed by a friend's neediness than to acknowledge our own unmet need for care and connection. But the payoff for this courage is nothing less than your personal sovereignty. So, let's get practical. I want to introduce you to a powerful exercise, the shadow dialogue. This goes beyond journaling. Set aside 15 minutes of quiet time. Take your notebook and write down a recent situation where you sabotaged yourself or had a strong negative reaction. First, describe the situation objectively, just the facts. Second, now, give the shadow a voice. Write a question from your conscious self. Why did you make me procrastinate on that project? Then, switch hands if you have to, and let the shadow answer. Don't censor it. Let it speak from that raw, emotional place. It might say, because I'm terrified of failing. If we never really try, we can't ever really fail. Third, have a conversation, ask another question. What do you need from me to feel safe enough to let me try? The shadow might reply, I need you to promise that even if we fail, you won't hate us. You won't abandon us. This dialogue isn't crazy. It's a profound method of giving a voice to the voiceless parts of you. It's how you begin to make the unconscious conscious. If this approach feels challenging but enlightening, please let me know by giving this video a thumbs up. It tells us that this deep, meaningful work is what you truly value. Your dreams, the secret language of self-sabotage. Now, what if I told you that you have a trusted advisor who delivers a personalized report on the state of your inner kingdom every single night? And this advisor speaks in a language of powerful symbols and metaphors. This, for Jung, is the purpose of our dreams. They are not random neurological static. They are the direct, unfiltered communication from the unconscious to the conscious mind, specifically designed to balance our one-sided waking perspective. Your logical, waking mind is a brilliant manager. It's great at keeping up appearances, following rules, and maintaining the status quo. But when you sleep, the manager goes home. The office is empty, and the creative, intuitive, and deeply instinctual parts of your psyche come out to play. They leave messages on the whiteboard in the form of dreams. These messages are often about what you're repressing. They are bulletins from the Shadowlands. Do you have a recurring dream or a common theme? This is your unconscious trying desperately to get a point across. Maybe you're trying to run, but your legs are moving in slow motion. Maybe you're naked in a public place. Maybe you're in a house and you discover a strange, hidden room you never knew was there. These are not just random images. They are precise, symbolic illustrations of your inner dynamics. For example, a dream about a car where the brakes fail is a classic symbol of feeling out of control in some area of your waking life, hurtling toward a consequence you feel powerless to stop. A dream about a tidal wave or other natural disaster often represents an overwhelming emotion from the unconscious, a surge of grief, anger, or anxiety that is threatening to break through your conscious defenses. Dreaming of a specific animal, like a snake, a bear, or a spider, can connect to powerful archetypal energies. A snake might symbolize transformation, healing, shedding its skin, but also potential betrayal, depending on the context of your life. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to become a dream archaeologist. Start a dedicated dream journal. The key is to capture the dream immediately upon waking. The memory of a dream is like a delicate cobweb. It dissolves with the first bright light of day. Keep a notebook and pen right on your nightstand. When you wake up, before you even move, before you check your phone, lie still and ask yourself, what was I just experiencing? Write down everything. The images, the feelings, the colors, the snippets of conversation. Don't worry about interpretation in that moment. Just be a faithful recorder. Over time, as you review your entries, patterns will emerge. You will start to learn the unique symbolic language of your own soul. The world of dreams is vast and fascinating. Have you had a dream that felt incredibly significant, but you couldn't decipher it? Share a brief description in the comments below. Let's create a space where we can wonder about these mysteries together. The path to wholeness, from self-sabotage to creative power. So, where is all this leading us? This ongoing practice of shadow work and dream analysis isn't just for solving problems. It's part of a much larger, more beautiful process that Jung called individuation. Think of it as the ultimate destination on this map of the psyche. Individuation is the process of becoming who you were always meant to be, an individual, whole and undivided. It's the gradual, lifelong journey of integrating all the various parts of yourself, especially the shadow, into a harmonious and balanced whole. When you genuinely engage in this process, a profound shift occurs. The immense amount of psychological energy you are constantly expending to keep the shadow locked away, the energy used for repression, denial, and fighting yourself, is suddenly liberated. The inner civil war ends. The ceasefire holds. And that freed up energy is tremendous. It no longer manifests as self-sabotage. It transforms into a vibrant, unstoppable creative force. You cease to be your own biggest obstacle and begin to become your own greatest source of power. Your decisions come from a place of inner alignment, not from fear or a craving for external validation. You begin to live from your center, from your true self. This is how you build a life that is not a reaction to your past or a performance for others, but an authentic expression of your unique essence. This is not a quick fix. It is a path. But every single step counts. Every time you acknowledge a shadow trait without judgment, you reclaim a fragment of your power. Every time you ponder a dream symbol, you strengthen the connection between your conscious and unconscious mind. I want to leave you with a final reflection. This week, I invite you to consider one small, gentle act of self-friendship. It doesn't have to be a huge, dramatic gesture. Maybe it's committing to 5 minutes of shadow journaling before bed. Maybe it's simply pausing during a moment of frustration and asking your shadow, "What's really going on here? What are you trying to tell me?" Or maybe it's just looking in the mirror and acknowledging, "I see all of you, and I'm not going anywhere." The journey to wholeness begins with a single, compassionate step toward the parts of yourself you've been taught to hide. It begins with the courage to turn your gaze inward. If this conversation has been valuable to you and you'd like to be part of a community dedicated to this kind of deep, transformative work, I warmly invite you to join us. By clicking the Join button, you will get access to exclusive content, live community chats where we can discuss these ideas further, and a supportive space to explore your own journey. The link is in the description. Thank you so much for your time and your courage. Remember, the goal is not to become perfect, but to become whole. I can't wait to see you in the next video.